This man with a face full of scars is our main character Zeke Draker. He was the first direct descendant of the Dragon Slayer family but was unable to awaken his talent as a healer instead of a swordsman, resulting in him being kicked out of his family. And now, he's about to die for some mysterious artifact. A group of villains has cornered him inside a cave deep within the snowy mountains. One of the men sneered at Zeke's pitiful state. "Foolish mortal, do you think you can escape? Where's the artifact?" They glared at him with menacing eyes. Before them, Zeke's arms had been severed during the fight, yet his face showed no fear. He even mocked them. "If you were me, would you say anything different, you fools?" A hooded man, enraged by Zeke's defiance, was about to attack, but his companion restrained him. "Let's go, we need to contact the main force." He took out a communication stone and spoke. "We've captured the Northern Ghost. Please confirm our coordinates." The stone responded, confirming their location and promising reinforcements soon. After contacting his team, he praised Zeke's tenacity. "You're incredibly stubborn. Unbelievable that you're still holding on with both arms cut off." He wondered why the Northern Ghost was after the artifact the Emperor sought. His hooded companion answered, "What else? He's just trying to cause trouble. We've put up with him long enough. Let's have some fun before the main force arrives to settle the score." "Prepare yourself, Northern Ghost. We won't stop until you beg for death," said the villain calmly, drawing his sword. His hooded companion excitedly suggested, "Let's decide who goes first. We don't have time." He flipped a coin. "All right, heads. I go first." The hooded man grinned. While they were focused on the coin, Zeke seized the opportunity. He bit down on his severed arm and reattached it to his wound. A miraculous light erupted, and the severed limb rapidly healed. "I won't end like this. The first failed awaken one of the Draker clan is me, Zeke Draker. Because I was born into the great dragon-slaying clan with a body incapable of wielding aura, my awakening was a failure. It should have been obvious for a night. I was treated as trash and cast out, so I did anything to become stronger. To survive." Someone once said that pursuing only power leads to nothing, but only the strong say such nonsense. With his right arm healed, he grabbed a sword and lunged with incredible speed. Unaware, the villains were happily checking the coin flip. "Heads," the hooded man cheered. But as he saw the result, Zeke's sword sliced across his neck. It happened too fast for his companion to react. After a moment of shock, he drew his sword, only to be swiftly dispatched by Zeke, who, after killing the hooded man, turned to him. With a simple swing, Zeke's sword cleaved the bandit's weapon in two, leaving a deep wound. The bandit died before he could utter a sound. Zeke reminded himself, "The weak are crushed by the strong, and what belongs to them is taken." This is the reality of this world. Footsteps echoed from outside the cave, drawing Zeke's attention. It was the reinforcements. Seeing himself surrounded, Zeke reattached his left arm and sighed. "I guess I can't escape." The bandit stared in disbelief. He just reattached his arm. "A freak. He'll die for sure if we cut off his head." Whispers arose. The enemies clashed without further words, exchanging blows. After a long battle, Zeke lay on the ground, riddled with swords, surrounded by the corpses of his enemies. Even with his powerful regenerative abilities, he knew he'd reached his limit. "Damn it, looks like I'm going to meet the Grim Reaper soon. I couldn't avenge myself, but I protected the artifact the Emperor seeks. Maybe I achieved something." He took out a purple gemstone carved with a dragon from his pocket. His trembling hand clutched it as he apologized. "I'm sorry, Alicia," he whispered, his eyes closing as blood dripped from his forehead onto the gemstone. The gemstone erupted with intense energy. A mystical figure appeared behind him. The soul of an ancient dragon resonates with the will of the persistent. Emergency measure activated. "Zeke Draker, do you accept?" To Zeke, these words were meaningless, useless words as I'm about to die. "Just do it," he muttered. The voice continued, "Awakening agreement confirmed. An irreversible power is activating. Countdown commencing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Zeke, now a child, looked at himself in the mirror, stroking his chin, contemplating the events. "I look like this. I've gone back in time. It's unbelievable. I can still feel the swords in my stomach. This place is so familiar." This is the Draker Clan Training Academy, the cradle of the dragon-slaying Draker clan. one of the three great clans, descended from Tarakin Draker, the hero who saved the continent by slaying the vicious dragon Bahamut 1,000 years ago. His descendants founded the current Draker family, perhaps because they were descendants of the dragon slayer Tarakin Draker, so all descendants of Draker blood were blessed with light. They can easily awaken high-level aura and become holy knights. Except for me, Zeke scoffed inwardly, before a mechanical voice echoed in his mind, system initialization. Awaken one soul identified, soul compatibility confirmed at 100%, the Awaken One soul has been chosen to inherit the ancient dragon's will and fully merge, access to a portion of the system granted. It is a pleasure to meet you, Zeke Draker. Activating status window view, opening status window, low-level admin status window, name, Zeke Draker, profession, rare healing mage, title, blessed by ancient dragon, skill school, healing, skills, calm, vitality regeneration, enhanced senses, low-level E-rank stab, E-rank slash, E-rank critical strike, dragon techniques, unavailable, requires 10 points to unlock, current karma points, 0. Back to Zeke, a screen suddenly appeared, piquing his curiosity. It showed many things that looked like magical videos. An artifact has been activated. How is this possible? This is like a magic video, and it can navigate in the same way. In addition, profession and dragon language skills are no longer used in modern times. The master also said that ancient people classified themselves into professions depending on their strengths. Each profession would train a specialized technique called a skill. Since your profession is a healing mage, you can use a skill called healing. Remembering these words of the master, Zeke involuntarily trembled, recalling the training with his master in his past life. After her awakening, she pushed his training to the brink of death. But anyway, according to the status window, I'm a healing mage. Let's see if the status window is right. The moment I became a healing mage in my past life was when I was 20, right after the etheric hall unlocked. If that's the case, Zeke thought, closing his eyes and focusing on sensing the energy within his body, then immediately afterward, his whole body began to emanate energy, and seeing this, Zeke couldn't hide the joy on his face. He knew immediately that his etheric hall had opened. With this, I understand, even though my trained body is gone. But I've returned to the past with my skills and memories. Compared to before the regression, I'm in a much more advantageous position. And to take advantage of this, I need to find out what I have. Having said that, Zeke focused on studying the system screen, but he hadn't found anything more yet. Then, outside the door, a man's voice rang out, "Young Master Zeke, I'm coming in." Pretending you're not here is useless. The familiar voice made Zeke jump and panic. Trying to turn off the system screen, he thought, this is not good. I haven't finished reading yet, but what's this, outside? The stranger, without waiting for Zeke's invitation, directly opened the door and burst in, "I'm coming in." Unbelievable, you still haven't finished preparing. What are you thinking about? This big, burly old man dressed like a butler was Zeke's personal servant, Decker. He turned toward Zeke. Seeing that Decker didn't seem unusual, he breathed a sigh of relief. Maybe he didn't see the window. That's lucky, he thought. Then Zeke spoke, preparing, for what? In response, Decker's voice became furious. His eyes flashed with a dangerous light as he harshly asked, "Are you serious, young Master Zeke?" The seemingly normal words sent chills down Zeke's spine. Thinking back, he was truly terrified of Decker as a child. Even with the mind of a 32-year-old, he couldn't forget the fear deeply ingrained in his body. As he thought this, his whole body trembled uncontrollably. Until the system sensed his agitation and automatically activated the faction skill, Calmness. Did Zeke's mind regain clarity? The faction skill, Calmness, would prevent the user's mental state from fluctuating regardless of the situation. They could maintain their composure. Returning to Zeke, his anxiety vanished in an instant. This is also a skill. How convenient that it activates automatically, he mused. Unbeknownst to him, old Decker continued, "I've repeated many times that this is a very important event." "Did you hear me, young Master Zeke?" Zeke replied with a smile. "Of course, Decker, you're talking about the Pancration evaluation test, right?" To talk about that evaluation test, it's a rather interesting tradition. All members of the Draker family must undergo a training system called the Cradle, starting at age 7 for 5 years. From then on, they undergo rigorous basic training. Instructors evaluate new students every year through swordsmanship competitions and ruleless pancration sparring matches. Opponents are chosen by the instructors, but sometimes students can choose their own opponent if both agree. Because there are no rules, some end up with injuries or even death. But since this competition determines the classes students will attend at the academy, the children have no choice but to fight with everything they've got. Scene change to a large arena. A group of children are gathered here to prepare for the pancration evaluation test. Above the arena, an adult man loudly addresses the group. As you all know, today is the pancration competition day. I believe all of you know that this is the final part of the evaluation, correct? Yes, the children below shouted in unison. Satisfied, the brown-haired man continued, Good, it seems everyone's spirits are high, then let's begin now, get ready. He was the head instructor, Ban Mark. Back on the arena, Ban began to call the first competitors. Aaron, Gata, come up here. Yes, both contestants replied and quickly ran onto the arena. After both were ready, Ban shouted, Begin. The sound had barely ended when the brown-haired boy dashed forward like a cheetah, aiming to gain an offensive advantage. However, before his fist could reach his opponent, Aaron launched a kick straight into his chin, causing a severe concussion, and he immediately passed out. From the stands, Zeke witnessed this scene and yawned out of boredom. That's over, that's what happens when you don't take a proper defensive stance, he muttered, and just as he predicted, after one blow, Gata couldn't get back up. Gata cannot continue, Aaron wins, Ban announced loudly. The matches continued one after another. Zeke became increasingly bored. I thought I was scared to death as a child, but these guys are nothing, he thought. He covered his mouth and yawned again, unbeknownst to him, in another stand. A freckled boy was looking at him with excited eyes, like he was looking at prey, his hands trembling with anticipation. Soon, Zeke's turn arrived, and coincidentally, his opponent was the freckled boy. Zeke, Leon, are you both ready? Yes, both replied. On one side, Zeke, seeing his opponent Leon, boredly rubbed his eyes. Leon, on the other hand, looked at him with contempt. Look at you, back again, seems like I didn't take care of you properly last year, huh? His words reminded Zeke of last year's competition, when a weak Zeke had knelt and begged him to stop. I'm sorry, Leon, please forgive me this time. Back to the present, Zeke felt no fear toward him. Fine, he's always been my opponent every year. Anyway, I'm sure he's playing dirty behind his family's back. They'll spout nonsense about having to overcome such dirty tricks to become a true dragon slayer. Right, why is such trash my cousin? In my past life, my 4 direct siblings never had the chance to meet. However, there were dozens of cousins always ready to bully him. Thinking of this, Zeke let out an indescribable smile. On the opposite side, unaware of Zeke's thoughts, Leon continued his scornful words. I have to admit, Zeke Draker, you're really brave to come back here after being beaten to a pulp last time, or maybe you just didn't learn your lesson because you're so pathetic. The boy tapped his own head as he spoke. And for this provocation, Zeke also had a bit of anger in his heart, but it was also immediately erased by his normal mind skills. It was a long time before he heard his stupid hidden insults again. Zeke sighed and glared at me in warning. I won't go easy on you if you call me that again. No response to Zeke's words. Leon approached, ruffling Zeke's hair and taunting. So, what are you going to do, you pathetic piece of trash? Hearing this, Zeke decided against further persuasion. In just a blink of an eye, he swung his hand and hit this stupid guy straight in the face, causing his whole body to fly like a torn sack to the outside. At the same time, the system also gave a notification to activate the Critical Strike skill. Level 1 Critical Strike skill causes critical damage to the enemy that can be counterattacked in case the attack fails. Up front, Leon clutched his face and howled in pain like a whimpering dog, his face trembling as he spoke. Zeke himself was somewhat surprised by the power behind his punch. He'd only intended to knock Leon unconscious, but his skill activated even with a normal punch. He truly couldn't control his abilities well. Turning to the chief instructor, who witnessed Zeke's sudden attack, he questioned, What was that? Zeke Draker, you attacked before I declared the start. Zeke sighed at the instructor's naivete, who says you need to announce readiness for a fight on a battlefield. The first to strike gains the advantage, Zeke said, a cunning smile playing on his lips, causing the instructor in front to sense an unseen danger enveloping him. Was that bloodlust I just felt, he wondered. Meanwhile, Leon, having suppressed his pain, spoke up, I'm fine, instructor. Please begin the match, I'll deal with that pathetic dog, Leon said, his face seething with rage. Zeke smirked, looks like you're the one too stupid to learn a lesson. Seeing both were ready to brawl, the instructor had no reason to stop them. Then, let's begin. Leon propelled himself forward with incredible speed. However, seeing Zeke's calm face, Leon felt a strange fear. Why am I scared? It wasn't that powerful a punch. But the punch lacked lethality. If I'm careful, it's nothing. What I need to watch out for is his left-handed counterattack. It's too obvious. Leon chuckled inwardly, ducked to avoid the punch, grabbed Zeke's thigh with one hand and his waist with the other. He began pushing Zeke forward to break his balance. Die, you pathetic worm. But a second later, he found himself frozen, looking around. He saw Zeke sitting several meters away. What just happened? Leon wondered, still unable to comprehend what had transpired. Unlike Leon, the instructor, witnessing everything, was utterly dumbfounded. Is this a joke? This is the combat sense of a 12-year-old. When Leon dodged Zeke's counterattack and attempted to take him down, he thought he had the win. However, Zeke punched Leon in the chin and broke free. It was Leon's mistake. His carelessness stemmed from believing he'd already secured Zeke. But Zeke remained calm, despite the failed counterattack. The focus and precision needed to deliver such effective and accurate damage. Was this really the Zeke Draker he knew? The instructor wondered, looking at the familiar yet alien figure. Leon was still reeling from the blow, unable to act decisively. Damn it, I can't do anything like this. I need to create distance first, before he could retreat. Zeke swiftly kicked him powerfully in the thigh. Leon staggered. No way, he's so small, yet so strong. He recovered and threw a punch, aiming for Zeke's face. You pathetic runt, how dare you? Leon thought confidently. This time, I can control my strength. Zeke activated a skill to enhance his senses, temporarily boosting all his perceptions. To him, Leon's punch seemed incredibly slow, a familiar feeling now that he mastered ether control. Then, I'll end this, he thought. He effortlessly blocked the punch, but that wasn't all. He grabbed Leon's arm and performed a powerful throw. The throw was so forceful that the impact cracked the ground. But Zeke wasn't done. He activated his Precise Strike skill. Precise Strike targeted the enemy's weak points for critical damage. Zeke's elbow struck Leon's sternum, causing numerous cracks in his bone structure. Zeke sat on top of Leon, raising his fist. Even an idiot like you can learn from this, right? Just try it, and you'll see, a little sweat clears the mind. I recognize some of you here. Stop gawking. If you have something to say, come down here. Zeke scanned the onlookers with a challenging gaze. A boy with reddish-brown hair arrogantly declared, Zeke Draker, I choose you as my Pancratian opponent. As you said, I have something to say. Zeke recognized him as Jakin Vardek, a cousin. Zeke readily accepted, fine, but just you is boring. Liam Stone, join in. Zeke pointed at the large man behind Jakin, his servant. This way, the fight will be fair, Zeke said with a contemptuous smile. Jakin couldn't help but gritted his teeth and shouted out loud, you just insulted me. He gritted his teeth and asked, and in response to this was an extremely cute face from Zeke. That's right, you idiot, you said with a chirpy voice. But this only enraged Liam further. Zeke Draker, I'll definitely kill you, he muttered to himself. Next, both of them went down to the arena. Before the match began, head instructor Pan anxiously reminded, don't do anything before I give the signal. Zeke Draker, yes, yes, Zeke replied, nodding. At the same time, he focused his gaze on the burly man in front of him. Interesting to meet you here, Liam, the mercenary king. Even in his past life, as Jakin's servant, he had attended the Cradle and Academy. But because he was a distant relative, he was left behind in his education. He pleaded to participate in advanced studies at Valhalla Academy, but ended up joining a knightly order of a small nation called Banin. After Banin's collapse, he ultimately became a mercenary during the chaotic times. People flocked to the strong, and after a long time as a mercenary, he became a Crimson Knight and established his own mercenary group, Stone. He unified the three largest mercenary guilds and quickly became known as the Mercenary King. Hired by the Empire, Liam's Stone mercenary group participated in the Continental War, and I, along with the Northerners, faced Liam as an enemy. However, this time might be different, Zeke thought to himself. Unaware of Zeke's thoughts, when he saw both sides were ready, he announced the start of the match. The moment the words left his mouth, Jaken suddenly launched a lightning-fast attack. His punch was so powerful that it caused a sonic boom in the air. However, this punch wasn't enough to trouble Zeke. He caught Jaken's fist in his own hand. "I told you to attack together," Zeke said with a cold expression, emanating a dangerous aura. Jaken's face paled slightly with worry. "You think I'd fall for your cheap tricks?" As he spoke, he launched a high kick aimed at Zeke's head. However, immediately after, he felt a sharp pain shoot through his brain. This was because his kick had landed squarely on Zeke's elbow. "Watch carefully before you kick," Zeke taunted. And because of this injury, Jaken was temporarily unable to attack. Taking advantage of Jaken's focus on his leg, Zeke rushed forward, looking where. As he spoke, he curled his fist, preparing to strike. Seeing this, Jaken immediately raised his hands to defend. However, this was just a feint by Zeke. "Looks like you're scared stiff, you didn't even see the fake attack. That's why I told you to attack together, you're not enough on your own." Zeke then kicked Jaken in the knee. This sent Jaken staggering. Zeke then spun around and punched him in the ribs, causing Jaken to writhe in pain and almost vomit blood. Defeated, he realized his own weakness. He was completely ineffective against Zeke and immediately called for help from his subordinate. "Kill that bastard," he yelled. And this time, facing the future mercenary king, Zeke retracted his contemptuous attitude. "He's only 12 years old, just like us," he thought. "The most troublesome thing about fighting him is his ridiculously long range. If he gets the first move, I won't be able to do anything. I have to seize the initiative. I have to seize the initiative." Thinking this, just as Liam was about to strike, Zeke dashed forward and landed a straight punch, stopping Liam's attack before it could even be launched. Then, Zeke activated his slash skill, a D-rank skill that unleashes a flurry of attacks, obscuring the opponent's vision. Suddenly, multiple purple afterimages of Zeke appeared, launching continuous attacks at Liam from all directions, forcing him to curl up defensively. Seeing this, the watching students' expressions changed. "What the hell is that?" they exclaimed in disbelief. Of everyone present, only Instructor P recognized the skill. "Indeed, you must be surprised. This is something you've never seen before. Northern Territory's boxing technique, but in a place dominated by swordsmanship like this. How does Zeke know it?" Returning to Zeke, the continuous attacks put immense strain on his body. He began cursing his weak body. "Damn it, this body is trash. I'm only this age, and it already hurts so much. But that aside, that guy's monstrous physique is the real problem. He doesn't counterattack, he doesn't dodge, he just absorbs everything. He's even more relentless than when he was the mercenary king. My body is reaching its limit. Now I see just how strong his body is. However, I'll break through his defense and take him down." With that thought, Zeke took a deep breath and focused his strength into his right fist. On the opposite side, Liam's eyes narrowed slightly, sensing Zeke's change, and he focused his mind to the highest level. Without any warning, Zeke's body flashed, appearing before Liam and unleashing his fist. But with an incredible reflex, Liam slightly tilted his head to the side, simultaneously striking Zeke's hand and forearm to redirect the punch. The failed attack left Zeke frustrated. He dodged it. He couldn't even be seen with the naked eye. "Everyone here has terrifying senses," he thought. While Zeke was still lost in thought, Liam used his left hand to grab Zeke's right wrist. Then, using his immense strength, he hurled Zeke's body away like a ragdoll. However, Zeke wasn't one to be trifled with. As his body flew forward, he extended his leg, using the momentum to kick Liam in the head with his knee. Then, he activated his enhanced senses skill to increase his perception speed, and used both legs to clamp down on Liam's neck. No matter how strong the body is, without enough oxygen to the brain, it can't do anything, Zeke thought, increasing the pressure of his legs. But Liam wasn't about to give up. He began using his left arm to repeatedly punch Zeke in the ribs, causing Zeke to cough up blood, this crazy bastard. Alright, let's see who wins. Zeke gritted his teeth, and during the blows, the two began a brutal test of endurance. In the end, Liam was the one who succumbed, falling unconscious from lack of oxygen. In the stands, another boy saw Zeke's victory and grinned with amusement. Good job, I expected at least that much from you. That's worthy of being my rival, Zeke Draker. Time passed quickly. The scene shifted to Zeke's private room. Old butler Decker approached him with concern. I hear you were seriously injured during the match, young master. Are you all right? If it's not too presumptuous, may I check your pulse? He calmly asked. But how could this question get past Zeke? He immediately guessed his intention. He probably wanted to check to see if he had awakened his aura, so when he knew his purpose, Zeke also told him to wait a bit to let him wear it. After finishing the clothes, he held out his hand for him to check. The old man did not forget to say thank you, the young master said. Then the old man also gently touched Zeke's hand and slowly transferred his energy inside his arm to check, but at the same moment felt his energy moving inside his body. Zeke couldn't help but be surprised for a few seconds. Wait, is he a blue knight? When checking to see if a person is awakened or not, one usually only looks at the dantian, but he is actually doing it very carefully. Just transmitting light energy into another person's body is difficult enough, but to be able to control it so precisely, he must be a blue knight. Not all knights are the same. They are classified based on martial strength and mastery of aura manipulation. White-colored swordsman is the basic level. Most children who have not gone through the blessing ceremony will be white-colored swordsmen. Next will be the yellow swordsman, which is the level when you awaken the light energy and open the dantian. All students in the cradle will become yellow swordsmen after the blessing ceremony once they have learned how to control the light energy at will. You will be given the title of Knight of the Purple Knight, which is the level where you can enhance the sword with light energy. Blue Knights are at the level where you can wield an aura blade. And the realm of the Transcendentals limits the realm of Mercenary King Liam. That year and I achieved it before my rebirth as a Red Knight. There are also Black Knights, but only a few such monsters exist on the entire continent. So how does a person strong enough to be a commander become someone who cares for himself? It's not even more important. There's no way he could have discovered his E. There's only two people in the world who can use it, Zeke whispered in his heart. And as he predicted, after a while of checking, the old man Decker still did not discover anything and had to stop his exploration. However, his instinct still told him that Zeke seemed to be hiding something. Young master, are you hiding something from me? He said while staring at Zeke with sharp eyes. Hearing this, Zeke did not answer but asked instead, what are you hiding from me? Zeke's suddenness made Decker a bit quiet and didn't wait. When I asked him to answer, the main character waved his hand and said I was just joking. Old man Decker also breathed a sigh of relief and turned to ask why you changed so suddenly. Young master replied. After saying this, Zeke also turned to look at him with a superior look. That's the wrong question. You should ask why I haven't changed until now. Many things will change from now on. Everything will return to its right place. So what you need is... What he did was just follow me on the opposite side, but after hearing it, he was silent for 2 seconds as if he wanted to evaluate this statement. Next, he nodded and bowed clearly. Young master, I understand. I have prepared the practice room as you requested. I really like the fact that you are always agile. Zeke said with satisfaction. I'll see you later, young master. You can rest. Zeke waved his hand and quickly walked out of the room. At the same time, Zeke also vaguely guessed why there was such a strong person by his side if he was ordered to follow him. Then I just need to keep him by my side to get information when I get the chance. The problem here is who ordered him to follow me. I don't think it's someone from my mother's family. It's definitely one of my siblings, Zeke guessed in his heart. Scene change. The training room. It seemed to be Zeke's first time there, so he was surprised by its size. Wow, this is a personal training room. This family truly lives up to its reputation, he exclaimed. Before he remembered he still had the system he hadn't thoroughly researched yet. I should check that system first, he muttered, and quickly opened his status screen to check. Next, Zeke quickly noticed the changes in his status. His slashing skill had leveled up to proficiency. It would increase the more he used it. A skill activated naturally based on my actions, so I had it before. If I learn something new, will it be added here as a skill? What's the difference between skills and faction skills? They're activated similarly. And this too, Dragon Transformation Technique. Currently, I can't view it and need 10 points to unlock it. Thinking about it, he also tried to click on the cause and effect point button to check. And the system also quickly gives a message explaining the karma points. You can get karma points by killing monsters. The current karma points are 0. After reading the description, Zeke's face showed a thoughtful expression. Monsters, there are tons of them in the dungeon, but I need to at least become a purple knight to get there. Furthermore, I'm more curious about why I reincarnated into the past. And what is this system? This skill and profession tells me that it is definitely related to that ancient treasure, but I currently have too little information. The more I think about it, the more curious Zeke becomes, but right now I can't think of anything, so Zeke has to put this problem to the back of his mind and will figure it out later. Whatever, as long as it helps me get stronger, I'll use it regardless of whether it's the system I'm using or a member of the Drake family. He muttered and tried to lift the sword in front of him, but his whole body was shaking non-stop because of its weight. Next, while lifting the sword, Zeke also reviewed the knowledge of training in his previous life. There are 2 known powers in this world. The Knight's Light Aura and the Knight's Magician's Aura strengthen the light aura inside the pill. While the Magician uses spiritual energy with a magic circle. These 2 powers are at opposite ends, so if one has awakened one, it will be impossible to awaken the other. However, I am so unlucky that I cannot awaken both the Dantian and the magic circle. So I was rejected by my family and met my master during my wandering days. He taught me many things, but the most useful thing he taught me was the skill of healing into the ether chamber through the ether chamber, which my master developed. I was able to use the energy of nature, and my master and I are the only number 1 users in the world. As he thought, he swung his sword wildly to practice as time quickly passed. 2 hours later, Zeke was exhausted. He had only trained for 2 hours, but it felt like he was about to faint. I guess it's okay, he said. As he spoke, he tried to support his body with the sword, and to relieve his fatigue, Zeke activated the skill to heal and restore vitality, making his tired body instantly become as fresh as when he was not tired. Healing is a very rare skill that I didn't even know existed until I met my master. If I use it in front of others, they'll think I'm a monster. That's why I couldn't use it in the fight with Liam. I have to quickly heal myself as soon as I get back to my room. I continued. Before you know it, he threw himself back into training again. Time quickly passed until dusk. Zeke finally stopped because his stomach started rumbling. Oh, it's dinner time already. Zeke let out a soft sigh. Before looking at the floor, covered in countless sword marks, and wondering how to explain this to Deck, like that. A week passed quickly. Scene change. The dining hall of the Cradle. People were starting to talk about Zeke's change. Have you heard about Zeke? He's completely different now. Someone spoke, surprising the person next to them. That loser, did he dabble in black magic? I hope he'll take on stronger opponents, another person agreed. Scene change. An elegant dining room. 4 young masters were eating together. Reyna Turin was eating like a starving ghost, while on the other side, a handsome young boy reminded Leon, you may not feel hungry, but eat. You need energy for swordsmanship duels. This handsome young boy was Owen Zekemans. In response to this kind remark, Leon clenched his fist and sneered, are you trying to provoke me? I'm just being friendly, but your inferiority complex seems pretty bad, Owen replied coldly. This made Leon furious. He slammed the table and shouted, what, this table slamming also? Sent Reyna's steak flying off her plate. Leon started receiving annoyed glares from him. The icy glare made Leon unable to meet his eyes, ignoring this. Jakin also spoke about Zeke. So, what do you all think, Zeke Draker? Owen's expression immediately changed. I'm not sure. The Pancration match, while brutal, was impressive. However, he'll be pathetic in swordsmanship. What can he do when he can't even hold a sword properly? Hearing this, Leon, across from him, seemed to have found an excuse and seized upon it. That's right, he's so weak he needs a custom sword because regular ones are too heavy for him. That's right, there's no way I lost to such an inferior person. I believe everyone who saw it knows he only won the Pancration match due to luck. Regarding Reina, seeing these weaklings constantly making excuses for their failures, he stood up abruptly. If you truly believe that, you have no right to be knights of the Draker family. He scornfully left the table.